What up, y'all? This is your Don Israel coming to you live from Lit, asking y'all to subscribe to the channel. So make sure y'all subscribed, make sure y'all liking the videos, make sure y'all commenting, and make sure you turn on your notifications that let you know when new videos are dropping. We're dropping them daily, and you want to be on it because we on it, all right? So keep it lit, keep it locked, subscribe, we out. Marduce is a dream. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy, your Don Israel, aka Liddy Fontaine. Pretty Liddy's what they call me. And we back again with another episode of Lit, the premier platform for all things literary, swaggy, and everything in between. Today's guest is the super swaggy Yrsa Daley-Ward.
It's perfect.
Swagged out, came all the way here from London, right?
No, from LA.
LA?
Yes,
by way of
originally
from London.
Yeah,
so
from London,
so London by way of LA.
By way of LA, yeah.
Yes. And she's come to talk about her book, poetry collection Bone, who she got like one of the best forwards from the god Kiese Layman. We're gonna talk about poetry, we're gonna talk about her swag, her aesthetics, and we're gonna talk about whatever else comes up. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate you for being
me.
here. Shout out to Yrsa for making sure she got here on time and everything. It makes the whole show go better. So the first thing we do is we talk about the swag. So we have a swag cam. So I need you to curate the fit for me. So you got to stand up.
Oh God! All right.
No. Come on.
Oh, do you want me to stand?
You gotta stand
all right.
up.
Okay. All right.
So how are we doing this? We're doing this from top to bottom or bottom to top?
How you want to start? Let's go.
Yes.
Yes. Let's go from here up.
All right. So
all right.
start with the shoes. These
shoes. Oh my God. Yeah. They're from this. Oh, don't get so close. Okay, wait, I haven't had a manicure. Right. So pedicure. So these shoes are from a shop in London called. I don't know if it's called Sense or Sense with two S's or Essence. Yeah. So I got it from there. Okay. This is like the white label at ASOS. Okay. Because I just love their stuff. It's just so. Okay. And I just don't want to get this name wrong, right? Okay. But I think she's a Belgian designer. The label is here. Okay. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to. I don't want to murder. All right. This.
Oh, I know. And
that. Okay.
We'll type it. We'll type it in. Yeah. We'll type it in. And then the accessories. I'm knowing your accessory game is on fleek.
Oh, thank you. This is
Teresa, you in the frame just to let you know, girl. All right. Just wait for the people. Yeah.
So this is by this sustainable brand. They're called Maids. Oh, and this it's like crafted in Kenya, I think. Okay. And so of course I have to represent.
All right.
From the continent.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. So the thing we do here is the Marduce, it's 3 parts Martinelli's, 1 parts Douce, all parts delicious. So this is actually a new bottle. Douce? So yeah, it's Douce. So it's Jay-Z cognac brand. Oh. Jay-Z has a cognac. And so I was like, we gotta support Jay, the Jigga Man. So what we always do, it's a tradition, it's a hood custom that before you open the bottle, you tap the bottom of the bottle. Right? Okay. So I tap it, you tap it, Danny, you tap it, everybody got to tap it. Teresa, you got to tap it too. Come on. There we go. All right. So now we're gonna open it. So. Oh man. Now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna pop the top on your Martinelli's. Okay. Right. That's how you know it's fresh because it's snapped.
Yeah, right? You get that pop.
Yeah. Then you drink to the leaves.
Okay.
All right. So. All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I told you it's the best apple juice ever. It's real apples. It ruined me for Mott's. I used to be a big Mott's kid. Then boom. You're gonna swirl that around so. Put the top on it so you don't.
Okay.
You don't lose any.
You do it right.
All right.
Like a baby's bottle.
Cheers again.
Cheers. It's so smooth.
It is smooth. Keep it that way. So let's talk about the smoothness of your life.
That was a really good segue.
Give us the background. Let people know
about life.
Who you are. Like just give people the background.
So who am I? God,
always... Existential. We're gonna start that.
Yeah, I'm always wondering about that constantly. Yeah. So I don't know. I think the only way to describe myself is someone who is a storyteller and has been for a really long time. I just didn't know it. Spent a lot of time doing other things and
like what? Like talk to these other things.
Okay,
We got space. We got space.
We've got space and time.
Open it up.
So for a really long time, I've been really lucky because I had this mum she's Jamaican, and she came to England when she was about 14, and she worked super hard. She was a nurse,
right?
And she was this single mother who brought me up with this understanding and just entrance to literature and how we can use like books to understand how people feel and to connect with people and to I don't know, just to understand characters and people's motivations and why we do the things that we do.
Right.
And that was just such a huge gift. And so I was raised on books. Okay. I was also raised in a really traditional Seventh-day Adventist household because of my grandparents.
So that's the Saturdays is off limits. That's a done deal.
From sunset on the Friday to sunset on the Saturday, you belong to the Lord. We belong to the Lord all the time, according to them. But all of this just came together, and I, for a really long time, knew that like writing was just freedom. It was just like wildness, and was a chance to say the things I wanted to say. And so for a really long time, I stopped for some strange reason. I became a teenager and wanted to be cool and wanted to hang out in parks and drink cider and get drunk and smoke cigarettes. Yeah. And I did that for a really long time. Okay. Still doing it.
So you haven't stopped?
No, actually, nothing's got better. I don't even know. Okay. But during some time away, I went away to South Africa and realized that oh my God, like I write and I really enjoy writing and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. And it happened that I started to write poetry again and ended up just putting it together a couple of years ago and made a book, and this book is both. God, that was a really long, winding way of telling
It wasn't.
You.
This is like
I
said.
Get better at this.
Nah, no. This is like I said. If you go on the other show, I'm not gonna say no names. You gotta come with your points in here. But here, that's what I said. Like I think what I the show, the whole platform is created for is to give writers the space to just be and not be anything in particular besides themselves. So like this is who you are, and I think that also poetry is such the form is so it's an economy of words. So there's so much that's left unsaid between the lines that to have the person come in and fill those lines in, it gives the poetry, no pun intended, it gives it a body, not just bones, right? So it adds a little bit more flesh to it. So you talk about your mother. Where did your father play into this? Did he leave when you were young, or was it? How did that?
Well, I never met him.
Okay.
I never met him, but he was. I remember my mama telling me he's a Nigerian. And I was like, oh, a Nigerian.
He says she sounds almost accusational.
Oh no. She said it was like some otherworldly, beautiful like energy, and I didn't know him, and he passed away when I was super young, and actually had just written a letter full of like day glow like highlighters and pens to introduce myself to him, and then got word that he'd passed away. But the beautiful thing about that is, a couple of years later, I started getting letters from my brothers and sister in Nigeria, who I have and haven't met yet. I'm about to. Next year I'm going to go. And it's really interesting how we've been able to connect.
Okay.
Yeah. Facebook is amazing.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll share something with you. My father, he had left when I was 10, right? The next time I hear from him was 14 years later. I get a phone call from a hospital in New Jersey saying that he was brain dead, right? Wow. In Jersey. So I had went out there to go, basically, decide what happened to his body. He was brain dead. I hadn't seen him, so I was like, all right, well, I don't see him praying for him suffering. So, I signed the papers over, and the hospital basically like euthanize them. All right. And after I do that, I found out that I have all this family. Well, not other kids. You never know. But I had his biological family was in Pittsburgh, and this was, funny thing about the whole time he had been alive, he had sort of made it seem to me that like his family had been dead, like he had no family. And so after he dies, this connection is created, which is very ironic. So it just seems to mirror, like after your father sort of passes, you find out you have this family. It just seems the same to me in those ways. And it's the way,
because we're like trees, like people, we have branches, and and so when one link is removed or falls, there's still all of these other, everything's still in bloom.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely what happens. So let's go to the poetry, right?
Yes.
Who was, and maybe this is not even poetry, but who was like the first writer that like kind of like this, that kind of let you know that this is what you wanted to do?
You know what? This is a strange question, I think.
Strange?
Yeah. And it probably isn't. My head is strange. It's just, there was such a mix of things that I was brought up with, right? So I had like the Bible. Okay. And like the Karma Sutra.
I think that's the base. On
the same. No, and I was reading these things from a very young age. Kids access to bookshelves, and but all of this stuff was there, and all of this stuff was available, and we had medical journals, and we had Roald Dahl books, and Spike Milligan books, and Alice Walker. So I had access to so many things, like such a wide range of like possibility, and people and different types, and I think difference is really important when teaching children to read or introducing children to things. So there isn't one specific voice, but I just it felt so rich with everything that was there, and there were so many contradictions, in the household and in early life, that I think I was just well primed to kind of story tell. And I think that also, I mean, not I think, but like reading a lot. Like I grew up in like a religious household, very religious, like Hebrew, Jewish background. And the main thing, and you see this also in like Baldwin's and a lot of people who come from religious backgrounds, is that immediate ability to sort of, or the immediate conflict of reconciling this world that's like so predicated on rules and rightness and morality, and then living in a world that sort of contradicts all those things. Completely.
So I want to know, like, how were you as a young woman coming up reconciling these differences in your mind?
I've been reconciling them since I got here. On the
got here. I mean,
since I got here on this
on the
planet,
okay,
in this body.
Okay.
And I could talk about this all day, but let me try and be concise and answer the question better than I've answered all the others. It's a constant thing, you get into the world, you see what you are told to do, and then what the people telling you to do are actually doing, which is never in line. And then, the ideals of how you are supposed to be versus the human reality.
Right.
We're all so fallible and full of stuff, full of like our own like judgments, full of beautiful things, full of darker things, and you learn, you watch like adults around you and the issues and the things that you see them cover and you see them try to hide, and then what they're telling you to do, and just also being a woman and growing up and seeing the way people respond to you in different ways and seeing what is expected of you, so many things. So of course, religion teaches us, as well as, it's not just dogma, it teaches us to be critical, it teaches us an understanding and to see beyond what someone is actually saying to you.
Probably without knowing that, right? I don't think it I mean, I say like the people, the people I've learned religion from, which is like, I have sometimes I'll have conversations with people, friends who are atheists, and we'll get into debates, and a lot of times those debates kind of veer on like them talking about, what their pastors or like priests or whatever told them. And that's what they're fighting, as opposed to like, their own belief of any higher power, which is not to say that they don't have a right to not believe or believe. But a lot of times when I have these conversations, it's like what you see is there's a sort of trauma somewhere in which something was fractured and the trust was lost. And you know, I think a lot of your book deals with the ways in which, you know, the whole ideas of which, you know, wounds are opened. But, you know, part of the opening of them is a way to heal them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to feel the thing to get over the thing. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to miss any steps. You know? So, I guess it speaks to the actual experience, or parts of it speak to the actual experience when you're in it. Yeah. You know?
Who were some of the poets as you were writing, as you were, you know, formulating this? And then how long have you, let's go back, how long have you been writing poetry, like as a discipline? Like how feel like...
Oh, I as I said, I grew up on it, so I was reading like, you know, Proverbs and Psalms in the Bible, and then I was reading Roald Dahl, like James and the Giant Peach, and these wonderful like bits of text like, that are just, you know, that rhyme and that are just hilarious, and that made me fall in love with it. And Spike Milligan and things we used to recite.
Who is Spike Milligan? Because you said this name twice.
Okay, so Spike Milligan is an English, I believe, an old English. Well, he was a humorist, satire, lots of things, actor, did lots of voice work, and just a really hilarious. Think of Dr. Seussy type, you know, kind of funny. Yeah.
Okay. Spike Mulligan is the Dr. Okay.
I really hope that's a fair comparison. I might have, you know, committed something very offensive there. But, you know,
Okay.
Old, you know, back in the day.
Okay. So what language would you give poetry? Like for you, like, you know, I typically, because this show is mainly also for people who do not spend their lives dedicated to like getting MFAs and, you know, reading and talking about craft of books. I always have the writers come up and give language for the craft of what they do. So how would you, what language would you give to poetry? Like how would you describe poetry? What is poetry to you?
To me, I think it's just giving voice to things that we all feel.
I like that. Yeah, it's a good soundbite. I think we don't. You can.
I can leave now.
No, you can leave. You can get up. And we're done. And then your poetry. What is, you know, when you're reading a Yrsa poem? How do we know we're reading a poem of yours? You're reading one of your poems.
Oh God, I really, you know, I try and just write in the way that I'd speak. You know, no, probably. I hope that I write better than I speak, But yeah, no, I hope so. But yeah, I just, you know, it's stuff that's from the heart. It's stuff that I actually feel. You know, usually I've been through it, which is why I'm writing it down. And that, talking to something that is, you know, stuff as well, stuff that we're not encouraged to say. We're told not to say so many things that are actually reality. Yeah. You know.
So how do you find the courage to say those things?
Well, I don't in everyday life, but, you know, but when I'm writing things down, I just find that kind of easy. I find it easier, yeah. You know, it's my medium for I guess working stuff out, or no, it's not even that intellectual. Like I go and I sit down and I feel something I write it. It's that simple.
It's visceral.
Actually, yeah. And I'm sure I wouldn't say half of the things that I write down.
So when you're reading these poems, is there like a sort of bodily resistance to it?
No, I just feel really privileged to be able to be in a space reading work that I've produced. So I'm like it sounds really, but I'm kind of brimming with gratitude for this whole situation. Yeah. Cool.
So a minute ago you said you write about things you usually go through. So what happens in those moments when you're not? Are you like writing for a particular person you imagine a particular poem to be for? Like what's happening in those moments when you're not writing from your perspective?
Well, let's be honest. Like we're writers, and everything is from our perspective because it's filtered, and you're writing it with your body. But like I said, it's if something's about an experience that I've had. It's an experience that everyone's had. You know, not special. You know, there's these things happen to everybody. So everything here is like a reflection of everything that's happening with everybody else in the world, because we're all connected and we're all feeling the same things. Right. You know, so that's all it is.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just laying the land. Yeah. Right. I'm giving people the space to be able to Like, because, you know, the thing is, especially like with music, with direct, like, you know, with movies, you typically have like a director or you have the actor sort of like helping you read and or watch or interact with work. With writers, we have that a lot less, right? So like the sort of extra language that we sometimes need from a writer, you know, am I reading this correctly? Because, you know, there's a thing in art where, yeah, I can look at a piece of work and I can get what I get from it. But I think there's something valuable about knowing what the artist's intent was.
Well, you know how, like, when someone's acting, you know, there's their body and their, like, stain on it. But, like, they're really the conduit and then the message, like, they're able to radiate the message. I feel like it's a bit like that when you're writing because even though I don't think... I'm going to get a bit airy-fairy. But, you know, I don't think that it's all, like... I'm just, like, the person who it's coming through.
Like the vessel.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah. And, yeah, like, as I said, it's autobiographical, but... If you think that we're, as human beings, we're all connected, and again, we go through the same rises and falls, and we know what love is, we know what it is to lose someone, grief, heartache. You know, these things are universal themes, so it's coming through me, but it's not mine. It's for everyone, which is why I feel like it's, Okay. I guess artists are called to do what they do, because they just, you know, they're just allowing it to come through, and then they share.
Yeah. So let me ask you, let's now, I want to have a conversation with you and audience. What was sort of the first poem you had written that you had seen like a reaction from an audience? Do you remember that?
I do, exactly. Okay. So I talked about running away to South Africa when I was doing my mumbo jumbo.
How old were you at this time?
How old? God, I would have been in my early 20s.
Okay.
And
you were in college at this time, or were you?
No.
You were just off the wave.
Okay. I ran away and, you know, lived in the world. I told you I was in parks drinking cider. But, I ran away to South Africa, and because I had this huge, like, depression, and it just would not go. And I just did not know why I felt low every single day. I just felt shit. I just didn't know why, you know. Well, I mean, there were a myriad of reasons, as there usually are, but I just wondered how I was gonna feel better. And I had like a little bit of money, like less than, I don't know, 200 quid. And I went to South Africa with that money and stayed there and just stayed.
Did you know anybody? You just pulled
I didn't know a soul. I went there and decided to like be a model and work doing that, because I was doing that in London as well. And I didn't know anyone. I used to like just go out at night, like sipping the wine and just like hoping someone would talk to me. But yeah, no, I meant to go for 2 months and see how it was, and I stayed for 3 years. Okay. So yeah. But during that time, there was this poetry night that happened at a place called Tagore's, which is now unfortunately closed. And I happened across it. And then every Monday they would set some sort of theme for the next week and say, write something about this and then come and perform. And then the time when I just happened to walk in there, they said, talk about discords in the family. I was like, I could easily do that, very easily. And so I went away, came back, and this story, it was this poem called True Story. It was a very true story at the time. And then that was the first time I remember, after being a kid, that people really responded. And I was like, God, I'm a writer. I forgot about this. I haven't been writing for 10 years. Why not? And that's in the book, actually. And it was the first one after such a long time away.
How would you describe that response?
Well, it's a South African audience who were lovely and warm and just really encouraging and affirming anyway. But it just felt like I was at home doing the things that I had put on the earth to do, and I'd found it again. And it was just warm, and it was like this knowing, it was like an understanding, and it's a very personal experience, but it was like everybody could understand it. And that's when I knew. I just said, no, we're all going through the same shit. We really are. Yeah. So yeah.
And there's that Margaret Atwood quote that says, "War is what happens when language fails." And I think a lot of times why we have a lot of hostility is because I think we really underestimate as people how important language is to, like, you know, finding those pacts between people that that otherwise would not exist, right? And it's like, you know, we could use the same words, but we mean different things. So it's like already we're sort of like our language is weaponized in so many ways. For you, you know, you come back from this background, you know, you're modeling and you go into literature, even though, and this is something that's very interesting about the ways in which we think of the mind and body dichotomy. You probably know where I'm going with this because you're laughing. Yeah, but how then hard was it to convince people that it was like, no, like to you, I may have been a model, but I've always been writing.
Yeah, I don't, do you know what it is? I don't even enter into that like dialogue because, you know, to coin like a well-used phrase, like the proof is always in the pudding. So you go and you share what you have with the world, and you're as vulnerable and open and honest as you can be. No one's really then thinking about modelling, or it's like it transcends all this. Do you know what I mean? So, and if anybody needed, I mean, it's not. I'm not in that habit of. Or the I guess the business of convincing anyone, you know, if they're into it, they're into it. If they're not, they're not. There's going to be lots of things in there that people don't like, but you know,
you ain't doing it for them. No, I get it. I'm with you. I'm with you. Like you know, and that's, you know, for me, even the thing of like, you know, I dress the way I be dressing, and people are like, oh, you don't dress like a writer, and I'm like, and I don't ask, well, what does a writer dress like? Because I know it's like in the mind.
Like a bow tie.
And like with the elbow patch blazer and like, you know, the pipe and like the very like, you know, Ernest Hemingway-esque like writer. But it's like that also speaks to a certain lack of imagination.
It does.
Right. So it's like, you know, I do agree with you in terms of like to even entertain a conversation is to validate it to some extent. Right.
Absolutely.
So, you know, but at the same time, it is a conversation to have because it is something that we know. And it's bigger than just like being a model and being a writer. It's this whole idea of like, you can't both be a mind and a body simultaneously. Yeah. Like if you occupy your mind, if you live a life of the mind, you can't be a body.
So crazy, isn't it? Because when everything is connected. Yeah, that's why we need to go and do shows like this and in sheer like see-through. No, I mean I'm all for it.
I'm with you.
Wear as little as possible.
Wear
as little or as much as whatever much. You want to do. Yeah.
There's a few lines I want to go with you with because this battle, one of my favorite poems, you say that loving someone who hates themselves is a special kind of violence. Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn, like it's heavy because it's like what when I'm a younger, more immature me. You know, you do these things and you dating your significant other girl and you're like, oh, like you tell yourself that you're doing all these things for other people, right? When you're in a relationship and you never think about what's motivated you to do these things, what propels you to do these things. And so when I read a poem like that, it's like this assumption that like everything, at least for me, everything I was doing in the name of love was actually for love and not sort of like this sort of placeholder for a certain sort of cowardice that I was exhibiting in relationships, which is like I was afraid to love myself. And what I was trying to do was coerce other people into loving me to do the work I didn't want to do for myself. Yeah. Now I want to know, like, is that like, I don't know what I don't even have a question. I want to talk. So you talk to me about that poem and the other ones. But it like that, like a lot of these poems resonate with me simply because of who you're asking to do the work of love. And so much of love as a conversation is always about another person. It's always focused on someone else's body. Right. And so this book seems to do a lot of inverted gazing. Like, let's look at yourself. And start there. Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, how are you gonna have any kind of successful relationship? When I say relationship, I just mean the larger for friends, everything, like family, everything. If you haven't got that inner kind of thing, the inner work going, and it's a process. It is work because you have to like it's the stuff that you have to like top up every day. You have to speak to yourself. You have to work on loving yourself. You can't just go, I love myself and that's it. It doesn't work like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a process. You know, it's the act of loving yourself is a complicated chapter. No, it's a book. It's the whole thing. A series of books. Yeah. It's a collection. It's a volume. Yes, volumes, darling. No, but you've got to, and yeah, that what you were just saying about that
needing, like trying to coerce someone else into loving you so you don't have to do it, or trying to just distract yourself, and you know, it's we all do it.
Yeah.
You know.
When did you realize you was doing it?
Well, am I not?
Put us on the ground. You ain't got to say names. You ain't got to give, but like just talk and give the narrative from your own perspective. Where were you in your life at the time?
Man, yeah. I'm still making all these.
Oh, you making?
Of course. You know, I don't. I'm still working on it. I mean, I'd like to think I'm more enlightened than I was 10 years ago, but bloody hell, you know, I'm less enlightened than I'm gonna be in 10 years. If 10 years is what I'm gonna get. You know, I'm working on it. You know, and it's a beautiful process. Yeah, it's really lovely. But there's no one time, you know, I look at things that I was doing even a year ago and think, that's interesting that you could put yourself in that.
Speak to it. What were you doing a year ago? Give us come on, you got to give us
some. Oh my God, so nosy. But it's all right. It's all right. Curiosity is a good trait. It's a lovely trait. Yeah. Okay. So let's speak to a year ago.
Okay. Speak to a year.
My Rolodex of human beings that I've been involved with. Let's speak to a year ago. All right.
Prom.
Yes. So, for example, a year ago, being in a situation with somebody else who I love like so much, and knowing it wasn't right, but then feeling like, you know, kind of obligated, or just thinking, oh, this is a really good person, so no, you know, maybe you should try and make it work. And the truth is, you always know. You just, like, soul knows. And sometimes we, like, try to put lots of things on top of it. And we say, oh, it's just, you know, it's just this. And we make all these excuses. And, you know, that just wasn't right.
This doesn't work.
And there are so many ways to love someone. You don't have to be, you know, in...
Together,
you don't. Yeah. You know, there's ways of loving people that are just... We're just so conditioned into a few ways of being. But there's so many beautiful ways you can have someone in your life and not engage in that romantic space, you know.
So what was it about you that needed to believe that at the time?
I think, you know, well, let's talk about it. There's an act of there's loneliness, you know. There's not feeling like worthy of the thing that you most want in the world. I think a lot of us struggle with that. This is subconsciously, because of course consciously we're like, no, you know, I want this, I can have it. Yeah, but really, do you know, ask yourself, do you really believe that? And you know, and if you don't, why? It's often like a really painful like trigger that's like right down there, and then you get to it, and you're like, oh shit. You know, that's why. And it's something that even if I'm saying it in my actions, I'm telling myself that I don't deserve that thing, and kind of like pushing it away. And so you know, there's lots of things, living in the city, being lonely, distractions, loads of things that force
work. Definitely, work is one of the. I think especially in America, and I've never been to another country to speak to like the sort of cultural spirit of how in which things are used to negate or avoid or evade like reality. But I know here work is a thing. Like you commit yourself to work as a way to not confront. Like there's a quote, and I don't know who said it, but it was like basically we take on some forms of work to avoid other forms of work. And so I notice like anytime I'm like not willing to really think about like a relationship going bad, I'm like I get hella productive. Like it's almost like productivity as a form of vengeance. Like I'm gonna be super successful now. Wow. I'm gonna get big, and it's one of those things where like, you know, the hurt is, and this is what this book does, right? It does it like it sort of like continues to sort of just prod at those scars you would really act like don't exist. And I remember like, you know, there's a few situations where like every time I had broken up with somebody, it was either retail therapy immediately, which is why my credit card.
You went shopping.
Oh yeah, of course. You go like, well, because you feel like in a sense when you hurt, you don't have power, right? You feel powerless, and you know, acquisition is a great way to kind of convince yourself that you have the ability to choose. For me, I'll speak.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. It's true.
So, you know, what helped me deal with myself is when the credit cards got maxed out and I couldn't do the thing, the muscle I'm used to flexing. I couldn't do it anymore. So I had to sit there. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Like someone had broken your arm.
Yeah, so I had to feel that. And then when you feel it, it's like, it's different when hurt comes from a place of indignant, like self-righteousness. Like you feel like you're like right for being hurt. And then it took 2 or 3 years. And I had, there's a lot of people, women I've, had relations with, I've had to apologize to. And I knew the apology was sincere because it was less about them accepting it and more about me feeling like I owed it to myself to give it to them. If that makes sense. Yeah. So it wasn't as if you apologize and you expect things to go back to normal. It's like you apologize and things will never be the way they were again.
So you went back and approached them and said,
I called a few people and I apologized for things. And from a place of I understand now what I could not understand then. Because the person I was back then would have not allowed me to say those things. Because those also and that's also another thing about hurt, right? Is it's connected to these other traumas and triggers. That to feel this is to feel that, and to feel that. And it's to feel like something that happened 10 years ago. It's to feel that happened 20 years ago. It's to feel something that you told yourself in the moment, oh, I'm all right. And so that sort of constantly shutting off these emotional valves. Nothing flows through. And for me, I would tell you, it just it got to a place where I just realized I was just in this sort of emotional and intellectual stalemate where I wasn't really growing. I was getting older. And you realize a lot of that work to go forward, you got to go backwards.
You do.
You just got to keep trekking backwards. But I've talked enough. Let's get some reading from you. Read something. Read something.
All right. So I don't know whether to read there's a couple. There's the one about there's the true story poem. There's a poet.
You got the book. You read any one you want.
I've got the book. Yes,
do what you want.
I own it. Yeah. Okay, so this poem. All right. So this poem. You were right.
I'm good.
You were very light on this cognac, by the way. I noticed that. It's very light.
What you mean?
It's a very light drink.
I ain't had breakfast. So.
I'm a drinker. So anyway, this poem.
You can't heckle me on my own show, girl.
Yeah,
you good.
I'm sorry. That wasn't very English polite.
It's fun. We're having fun.
This I don't know. A poem called Poetry. That's the one I'm gonna do, and it's about. I guess it's about richness of life and what we've just talked about.
Yeah.
And things not being wasted because we are artists, you know, or everybody, in whatever way you want or you feel like you've been given. But this poem was just one that speaks to an experience or experiences and why and how we can use them in poetry. No one is saying anything at the dinner table tonight because everyone is too angry. The only noise is the sound of fine silver on bone china and other people's children playing outside, but this will give you poetry. There is no knife in the kitchen sharp enough to cut the tension, and your grandmother's hands are shaking. The meat and yam stick in your throat, and you do not dare even to whisper, please pass the salt, but this will give you poetry. Your father is breathing out of his mouth. He is set to beat the spark out of you tonight for reasons he isn't even sure of himself yet. You will come away bruised. You will come away bruised, but this will give you poetry. The bruising will shatter. The bruising will shatter into black diamond. No one will sit beside you in class. Maybe your life will work. Most likely it won't at first, but that will give you poetry.
Oh, that's good. I wish I had a bongo drum or something.
Accompaniment.
Yeah. You have another one? Give us.
What more?
These are poems. You gotta. This is right. Give us a set. Give us a set list. Little 5-10 minute.
I'll be here all night. Okay. Mental health. If you're walking down an aisle with a dim fluorescent hue, where the tinned fish and beans in cans, strip lighting above, cracked tiles beneath, with the realization that most things are futile, and get the sudden urge to end it all, don't stop. Call a friend. Call your mother if you have one, and if you can stand her, listen to her talk about the price of tinned fish and canned beans. Call the speaking clock. Know that whatever time it says is the time that everything has to change. Leave the damn aisle. Don't go anywhere where they sell sweets, chips, booze, fast love, or lottery tickets. See that just outside there are people-lined streets that are emptier than your insides, skies darker than your own. Look for yourself because it never helps to hear from anyone else. If you're one of those running around town like mad people, people who jump from tall buildings with glass fronts and not enough air, if you're failing to fix a broken story, if you have been cooped up for far too long in a very high tower, in a dangerously low state, plenty of TV channels and TV dinners, plenty of sweets, biscuits, chocolate desserts, and plenty of wine, but no love for miles and miles. If you didn't get up for work today, if it's been afternoon for hours and the silence is keeping you awake, if you only remember how to draw your breath in and out like waves of thick tar, cooling, if you're wishing it later, pulling the sun down with your prayers, leave the damn bed, wash the damn walls, crack open a window, even in the rain, even in the snow. Listen to the church bells outside. Know that however many times they chime is half the number of changes you have to make. Stop trying to die. Serve your time here. Do your time. Clean out the fridge. Throw away the soya milk. Soya milk is made from children's tears. Get flowers from outside and stand them in a measuring jug. Chop raw vegetables if you have them. Know that if you're hungry for something, if you are hungry for something but you can't think what, you're more often than not only love-thirsty, only bored. When the blood in your body is weary to flow, if your bones are heavy though hollow, if you've made it past 30, rejoice. And if you haven't yet, celebrate. Know there's a time coming in your life when dirt settles, and patterns form pictures. If you dream of the city, but you live in the country, milk the damn cows, sell the damn sheep. Know that they'll be wishing you well, posing for pictures on milk cartons or running over lush hills to be counted at the beginning of somebody else's dream. See, they never held you back. It was you, only you. That's mental health.
That was good.
Thank you.
You are good. You are so good. This is good. So, for Yeoman on the show, this is for you. Yes, it's not. It's not what it looks like. Oh, it's not what it looks like. Okay. This is not a ploy to. All right. Well, but this is for you.
I'll get it one day. Oh, so this is beautiful.
Yeah, this is for being on the show. For being lit. You get the lit pin. Thank you. Your name is on the back on the box.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's personalized. Yeah, we gotta. We classy here. Yeah, so that's yours.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so before you get out of here, a few more things. We got to get the rundown of where people can find Bone.
All right.
And where people can find you.
Well, I can be found on lots of social media outlets. Is that what we say? No,
is it?
We don't. Platforms. That's the one. I can be found in outlets. Well, not me.
Yeah.
The book.
Yeah.
So, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, I guess. All the traditional one. I'm getting used to American outlet. I'm still getting used to it. But those things, those places. And
any favorite bookstores overseas?
Yeah.
Across the pond.
Oh yeah, across the pond, Waterstones, W.H. Smith.
Shout them out.
Put them on. And if you're in South Africa, I think it's Exclusive Books. I think, or just like Harass your local bookseller.
Harass your local bookseller. Yeah. We should get a shirt that says that. Like that's how you should like galvanize books in. Harass your local bookseller.
Yes. Everyone should.
Yeah.
And I can be found. My full name, Yrsa Daley-Ward. Which is, my first name. Why do I say yesterday?
What does your name mean?
My mum, she thought that she made it up. Since I've seen.
I made this name up.
There's some Icelandic people with that name,
Okay.
I've seen, and another writer actually, but I think it's pronounced Yrsa. Anyway, Yrsa Daley-Ward on IG, on Facebook, on Twitter, all the usuals.
Yeah, but you ain't answered the question.
What was the question?
The name. What does it mean?
Oh, okay. So she took it from. I can't be revealing things like that, man. Okay. No.
We gonna Google it.
She took it from bear which I'm always so embarrassed to say, like the female bear, like lady bear, like Yrsa's from the Latin.
Okay.
And then she's liked Yrsa and then put it together. And
well, that's a beautiful
I was nearly,
origin.
Really? Bear.
Come on now. Don't do that to yourself. That's your name. You gotta own that.
I should.
Owning everything else, you own all this pain. Own these names. I got bars too.
Yeah.
I'm a poet. I'm playing. And what else was I gonna say? Shit. I'm coming. It's coming back. It's yes. Oh, of course. Some events you're gonna be at.
Yeah.
Speak to them.
Okay. So I'm gonna be at Urban Outfitters Space number 98.
Thank you, Teresa.
Yes, thank you, Teresa. That wasn't very smooth then.
No, it's cool. I like that we break fourth walls and third walls and all the walls.
Fifth walls and sixth walls.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna be there tomorrow.
I like that y'all doing. I like that I like that these conversations are making their ways to places where people are not expecting to have them.
Yeah.
Because I think that these are the places that I think that's where the fight is to be fought.
Yeah, that's what we gotta do.
Yeah.
Like poetry's for everyone.
Right.
And it hasn't been that before. It's been a closed shop, you know. So I feel really
open up shop.
Yeah, for everybody. Everyone has feelings.
Open up shop and harass your bookseller.
Your
y'all
local.
got a shirt out there. If y'all don't do it, I'm gonna do it. So y'all get on it. Your literary swag. Your 3 favorite writers, 3 favorite clothing designers.
Wow.
What are they?
No, man. Okay,
go dead. If you don't want to offend nobody living, just pick dead people. I always tell people you can't offend people if they.
It's really. I would have to say I love Naira Wahid's. Her writing is incredible.
And she endorsed the book, right?
Yes, and she's incredible.
What she said? She said a symphony of breaking and mending. This whole book is an ache and a bone. Heavy.
Really?
Who else?
So there's another writer, a Zimbabwean poet called Tapiwa Mugabe, who is incredible. And I can't leave here without, talking about Alice Walker, who, when I was just a kid, just opened up like worlds of possibilities and spoke about things that I didn't know you could talk about.
Right.
You know,
namely black women. That woman,
and
like that essay. Yes, I have that collection that she has, In Search of Our Mother's Gardens.
Yes.
That definitely put me. She actually helped me a lot with understanding like the sort of pain I was causing to the women I was involved with and loved with, because it was like, a lot of times we talk about the pain we cause others as independent from the pain we cause ourselves, and I think her writing does a lot to show you that pain, that knife cuts both ways. Yeah,
and also before we go, can we also speak to because as much as pain and as much as we own pain, we own so much pleasure.
Let's talk about pleasure. Yeah. Let's talk about what makes you happy. What makes you happy?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
being in spaces with new people.
Okay.
Being able to express, traveling, doing all of that, really talking about the bones. Oh God, I just said the bones of a situation.
Yeah.
And just wildness, just
being
able to, yes, of course.
Being a heavyweight, because I'm a lightweight. I know I'm a lightweight. I know
what are you talking about?
Drinking.
Oh, well, it ain't nothing to be. Yeah, well, I've had a lot of practice.
Okay.
But it's so much light and shade, and it's important not just to own trauma as a label. I don't connect with trauma. I connect with joy. But I just happen to talk about the truth, and some of that is heavier. But I see it as a whole thing. As a circle. There's just so much goodness.
Yeah. Well, you know what I would say. For me, there's been a joy in doing something I've never done before.
Yeah.
Which is occupying the trauma. And it's not, because I think a lot of times, and this is like one of my good friends, she went to South Africa and there was a book, I think, that the kids have. It's called Everybody Dies. And it's a children's book, and it's like your mother will die, grandmother. And, a lot of Americans were like, this is a terrible book. And they were like, this is life. Like, this is, and I think there's something in the American mind frame where we have a very good and bad way of viewing, very simplistic way of viewing life, as opposed to a nuanced understanding. And I will say, for everything there is to me, and that's why, for me, a lot of people didn't like Frank Ocean's second album, but I felt like that album was a lot more to me, it was a lot more triumphant than the first one, because there was this thing of like, you know, when you do that work, it is rewarding and it is joyful. Like, I'm a better person, I would say, for myself, and I'm a happier person because I do the work.
And the closer you get to the truth, you're always going to feel better because you're in line with yourself. You
know? Yeah. So that's why, so like when I speak to the pain, like I don't want to make it seem like it's this like this pity party, this trauma session. But I feel like there's something like, even like when people are finally dealing with their shit, there's something beautiful in seeing that.
No, absolutely.
So it's a glow. You get like a, you know, a Bruce Leroy glow, like all over your body.
Of course.
You know?
Because you're not walking any fear. You're not trying to cover anything up. You're just being you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. But I cut you off from the so you did the third writer. You did Alice Walker, then the swag. We gotta do the swag.
The swag. No, what do you mean? This sort of swag.
Swag. So like your clothing, your favorite.
But
designers.
what do you mean? Oh, wow.
Like, so it's not favorite designers, like your favorite like places to shop, but just do it.
Oh, I love, like, I'm into like wearing other people's old clothes.
Okay.
Which is basically what I'm doing, because, you know, I've acquired some wonderful, like, I don't know, orange juice stains or something this morning. And yeah, just putting stuff together and, you know, putting stuff together that, I mean, it's I don't know, it's like, I don't know what time it is in the morning, I'm wearing see-through clothing. But just you know, this is what's enjoyable about clothes. You put whatever you want to put on your back, and you know, I have amazing artist friends, and I like to wear their like art on my clothes, just iron it on or whatever.
Yeah,
all of that stuff. I love jeans. I love like things with a lot of room in them, things with not a lot of room in them, bodycon things that are not. I don't know. So I like dressing.
You like dressing.
Yeah.
All right. You like swag so much. You swag is swag.
Yes, it really is.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't, let's give a shout out to the God. Let's talk about Kiese.
Yes.
Let's talk about him writing the foreword for the book.
Well,
what was that experience like?
Get out of here? I have not met him yet.
Really?
I haven't.
That's
and
the words are so, they seem like y'all been hanging out for a long time.
We haven't met in person, but he wrote this. There's this incredible book of his that I spent a lot of time with a couple of years ago. It's the book when he talks about time travel in such an exquisite and like modern way, but also it's like folklore. It's just bloody amazing. And and it's just everything feels surreal right now. I'm in the phase of life, everything feels surreal. There are all these loops, these circles, and so for him to have done the forward for this is just like such a huge honor. I can't even sometimes believe that it's happened, you know. And just the way that the book opens is so beautiful. It's so beautiful because of what he wrote.
Yeah.
The tone of it. Yeah. So I feel really honoured that he did that. Yeah. Long Division.
Yes. Yeah. That man is prolific. Yeah. Definitely prolific. So this has been another episode of Lit. Make sure you are following Yrsa on all the platforms and the channels. Make sure you harass your local bookseller.
Please
make sure you do that. And the shop is always open. Follow us at Lit Platform. Follow me at Yadon. Follow the production company at Pink Pig Pro. And follow my man Surreal Jules, who got the music playing under this episode, like all the that's going on. Follow my man Surreal Jules, who always plays the music. This is another Liddy Fontaine production. We out.